In her previous life, she was the daughter of a Marcus. Her father swore to give her the noblest title in the empire, so she became the crown princess at the age of 12. But like in any other historical manhwa setting, her husband had a mistress who was a hostage from another empire. At the request of his mistress, her husband, who was also the crown prince, bought salt from her duchy, which resulted in a war with another country. It was the crown prince who was supposed to lead the war, but instead he sent the female lead's retired general father, who later died on the battlefield. On the day of her father's funeral, her husband divorced her. After the divorce, she was banished. After losing her father, she swore to kill her ex husband, the crown prince, but failed and died in vain. She returns to the past on the day of her father's funeral. Now, do you think this is the kind of manhwa where the female lead gets a second chance, accepts the divorce, and then builds influence to avenge her father? No, instead, she stabs her husband in the leg. The crown prince becomes crippled and she is banished to the cold northern eastern territory with nothing. But she is happy, at least she managed to cripple him. On her way to the territory, she meets a child who saves her. Do you think, oh, she found a child, now she will raise her as her son? Don't be fooled. Sorry to burst your bubble, but this is our male lead. Don't be fooled by his appearance, he is actually 16 years old with a heavily twisted mind. You will find out later in the story. With him, she goes to her territory where she learns about the child's origin. As soon as she learns about the child's origin, she recalls that he is the empress' illegitimate son and was her husband's mad dog in her previous life. Now she is happy that she has obtained a trump card. Little does she know, she is playing with fire. Next, her childhood friend arrives. He becomes her knight and a source of jealousy for the male lead. Later, he becomes the male lead swordmanship trainer. He transforms the male lead from that state to this in just a few months. You are shocked? Me too. I also want to know what he made him drink. Now, on the king's command, the territory is asked to send knights on the battlefield. But her territory is small and has only a few knights, so she has to send him. Even though our male lead is still a child, she feels guilty for using such a young boy as a tool for her revenge, so instead she promises him that she will pray for him day and night. 3 years pass. The boy she sent earns the name Mad Dog on the battlefield, just as he did in his previous life. But before their return, she hears the news of her friend's death, who was ambushed by the barbarians. The male lead returns with her friend's empty coffin. The female lead is devastated. The next day, the male lead promises to become the female lead's lightning. After that, he begins capturing all the northeastern territories under her name. She becomes powerful all because of the male lead. Soon she is called to the capital along with him. Meanwhile, in the capital, the mistress, who is now the crown princess, is nothing more than a servant to the crown prince. The emperor is troubled by his stupid son, but he cannot do anything because he is his only heir. Every other child he tried to have died at the hands of the empress. However, he sees an opportunity as soon as he notices the male lead. Now the male lead seduces the mistress behind the female lead's back. Then we find out the male lead also remembers his past life, and in that life he was both the mistress' plaything and the crown prince's mad dog. Wow, what a story! Next, as part of the male lead's plan, the foolish mistress poisons the crown prince. The crown prince dies, the empress is exiled after her deeds are exposed, and the mistress is imprisoned by the male lead. Now, the female lead is unhappy because her ex husband died so easily. She wanted him to suffer more. So, the male lead takes her to meet the mistress. After meeting the mistress, the female lead gets to know that, oh, the male lead also remembers his past life. So, she feels betrayed because he was her tool. How can a tool plan like this? Girl, what are you? But then he calms her down. The mistress, after facing the hard reality that she was used, unalives herself. Then the male lead prepares another gift for the female lead, her ex husband's corpse. He gives her her father's sword so she can fulfill her revenge, and she does. And while she is covered in her ex-husband's blood. They do the deed. Yuck. The male lead also confesses that he is the reason the female lead returned to the past. Basically, in his previous life, he saw the female lead's portrait and made her his god. Because he has a twisted mind, he was later attacked by an enemy and was on the verge of death. But then he met a dragon who asked the male lead to kill him. In return, he would offer his remaining years to the male lead and grant a second life to the one he wishes to spend it with. Now the revenge is taken. The male lead and female lead are together. By now they should have thrown a happy ending tag on us. But nah, instead, the story shows how when two toxic people fall in love, they ruin themselves and everyone around them. After learning the truth, the female lead feels like her entire existence is built on the sacrifices and things the male lead did. She feels suffocated and thinks he is manipulating her into feeling grateful to him. Then the female lead finds out that her childhood friend died because of the male lead. But on the battlefield, the male lead had regained his past life memories and knew there was going to be an enemy ambush, but he didn't tell anyone and deliberately let him die. So she leaves the male lead and goes back to her territory. There she finds out she is pregnant. She also learns that the childhood friend she thought had died is actually alive but has lost his memories. Now that her childhood friend is back, will she return to the male lead? Nah, 5 months pass just like that. The male lead comes to take her back and meets the childhood friend, who creates a misunderstanding that the female lead is pregnant with his child, the childhood friend's child. The male lead goes back to his land. The female lead receives a jewelry box the male lead had given before leaving. It contains her dead mother's keepsake, which she had once sold for the sake of her land. Now she feels even more resentment toward the male lead, thinking that even now he is trying to make her indebted to him. Then she gives birth to her child, who turns out to resemble the male lead. Because of that, she cannot bring to herself to love him. Like wow, even during her pregnancy, she tried to get rid of the child but couldn't gather the courage to do it. The same girl is going to end up with the male lead and have a happy ending, but right now she can't love her child. Wow, what a hypocrite. 3 years later, the male lead finds out and the female lead brings the child to the capital to give him. But the male lead couldn't care less about the child, he only cares about the female lead. The child was just an excuse. They argue, and the male lead confronts the female lead that she used him as a tool. So, after reality hitting, she stabs herself. Even after she is injured, they spend 3 days together, and by together, you know what they did. Now, their son is 6 years old, and the emperor has died, and the male lead is now the emperor. They meet again while fighting the barbarians, but he couldn't care less about her. Now, this girl should be happy. This is what she wanted, but no, she's sad because it didn't happen the way she imagined. Girl, guys, this is how toxic people are. They want space, but when you give them space, they feel like, why are you ignoring them? Then we also find out that she has a daughter now. Like, wow. The male lead finds out too and still couldn't care less because toxic people are selfish, they only care about themselves. Things go on and somehow they make up, and authors, after breaking the story into pieces, just like to crumble it all together and throw a happy ending tag on us. This manhwa is such a brain rot, like literally, it will ruin your remaining brain cells, I'm telling you. Please, if you liked my video, like, share, and subscribe.